Hey superstars, thanks again for finding our video. So maybe now you've thought a bit more about this idea of you moving to China and becoming an English teacher. But maybe now you're thinking, me, an English teacher? I'm not sure I'm qualified. Now, for people who are curious about doing this, it's right about here where most people hit their first roadblock and decide that they're not qualified and they very quickly give up. Now, what those people don't realize is that it's really all in your head. There is no obstacle. Okay, so now let's talk about that. So, when we hear this term English teacher, a lot of us will start thinking about the English teacher we had growing up. Now, for most Americans, English class, especially in high school, was a place where we studied literature and poetry. We wrote book reports and we studied Shakespeare and we wrote a bunch of essays about how we felt about, I don't know, news events or something about what kind of goals we had, this kind of thing. Now, if this is what you're thinking you'll be doing as a teacher in China, you are dead wrong. In reality, the thing you'll spend the most time on is teaching conversational English. That means you'll spend a lot of time just talking with your students and getting them to practice their speaking. You'll also spend a lot of time correcting them on their grammar, a lot of time on pronouns, present tense, and past tense, and quite a bit of vocabulary. For example, let's say you want to teach your students how to introduce themselves as an example. As a native speaker, you might say something like, "Hi, my name is Bob." "Hello, I'm Bob." "Hey there, Bob." Now, this might seem super easy to you, but that's because you're a native speaker. That means you're an expert. However, for the beginner, this kind of thing is super difficult. So, okay, let's have another example. Let's say you look at the time and this is what you see. 11:58 a.m. So the question is, what time is it? Now, just take a look at these. It's 11:58 in the morning. It's going to be 12 soon. It's almost 12 o'clock. It's 2 minutes to 12. The morning is almost finished. It'll be noon in a couple minutes. It's about lunchtime. It's around 12. We're nearly midday. It's 12-ish. Now, as a native speaker, you will know that all of these answers are correct. Your students, however, will see this quite differently. Actually, what they'll see is, oh my God, there are so many ways to say the same thing. And when you look at these, if you think about it, you notice that each one has got a bit of nuance. They are slightly different. Again, it's a very simple act of telling the time, but each different way you answer adds a layer of something a little special. You've also introduced a lot of vocabulary. You've used present tense, future tense, and past tense. You've used a lot of language relating to your position in time. Now, again, as a native speaker, you are probably very comfortable using this language, but I'm guessing that you haven't really thought about how all these answers are a little bit different. If you like, feel free to pause this video to go ahead, spend a quick minute and think about it. Otherwise, we are moving on. Okay, so now that we've talked about how smart you are and how good you are in English, let's talk about your accent. Yes, you have an accent. In fact, if you were to travel to Australia or Ireland or South Africa, all English speaking countries, okay? As soon as you open your mouth, you'll immediately be recognized as coming from North America. Now, as you're getting started, you'll see a bunch of jobs that require something called a neutral accent. A neutral accent, okay? If you do your job search, you will see a lot of these. Now, this is when they say a neutral accent, this is the American accent that you hear most frequently in movies and TV. You might not know this, but certainly in China, a capable teacher with this neutral accent is considered highly desirable. This is the accent that they are the most accustomed to, and it's the one that they consider the most useful in both the professional and academic setting. Now, of course, as a person with a North American accent, you might meet someone from the East Coast or maybe from the South, and you speak with them, their regional accent might start to come out. By no means does their accent mean that they are bad teachers, but we're talking about students who are learning the language, and it will probably take them a few weeks of working with a new teacher before they're able to understand what the teacher is saying. So again, teaching in China, you're not teaching Shakespeare or anything like that. You're not teaching the finer points of literature or current events, and your classes probably won't be anything like the English classes you had growing up. Instead, you'll most likely be teaching conversational English, and since you're a native speaker probably from America, you probably possess that neutral North American accent that they like so much. And even if you don't, you can probably fake it, right? And so, for these reasons, you very much are qualified to work as an English teacher in China. Now, with that said, you have to remember your students are very much learning the language. No matter how neutral your accent, you will still need to speak slowly. You'll need to enunciate your words and speak clearly. You'll have to use simple words that they'll understand, no big $5 words or complicated sentences, okay? And if you have a bigger class, you might also need to project your voice so that everyone can hear you. Among your other teachers, you can of course use slang and idioms and shorthand, but these tend to be very confusing for your students. So bear in mind that you have to make the language simple enough for them to understand. Now, if you feel like this is something that you can do, please, please, please know that you are qualified to work as an English teacher in China. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for now. I look forward to your questions and comments. We've got more videos coming with lots more information. Stay tuned, and we will see you next time.